Welcome to the EQ4 Life podcast. EQ4 Life is a podcast based on your views as a parent, a companion, an entrepreneur, or business leader, and how learning to be smart about emotions plays out in everyday life. Thank you for participating in this podcast event, EQ4 Life.
But that's part of that dynamic, isn't it? If I'm going to try to see things from your side of the fence, I damn sure need you to be able to put that. So the gap, that's what we call that. That's the gap.
Right. It is, and when it comes to that, I think that the whole understanding of mind chatter,
right.
Let's face it, Parrish, our generation compared to their generation and the amount of information they have to filter every day. I mean, come on, bro. We were on bicycles, and
eight-track tapes,
eight-track tapes, man. And we barely wrote or received 2 letters a year. These guys are communicating and filtering all of this information, and there's a level of anxiety that goes along. I got a really good friend of mine, Rod Pettifish. He's a licensed guy who he counsels and he treats a lot of the youth. And I tell him, he and I talk all the time. He says, "Man, look, it's all about this anxiety, and it's a product of filtering and interpreting so much information. And so I can't pretend that I'm coaching these guys up," which, by the way, goes into my workforce, right? Because my workforce is that generation too.
Absolutely.
And so I have to understand emotional intelligence, that they're coming and viewing the world through a different set of emotional goggles. And that's been a learning curve for me, because we grew up with parents that said, "Dude, walk it off, suck it up. What anxiety?" I mean, we got that treatment. And so I'm put in my place a few times when I'm coaching up my kids. And look, those saying, when the student's ready, the master will appear. They're going to suck it in when they're ready. Right now, they're on their trail, and they know we're ready to talk about it. But to answer your question, they know it and understand it. I'll tell you a quick story. Last year, when we was in the middle of COVID, one of them just texted me today. We call ourselves the Highwaymen because of that old song, The Highwayman. And it was my daughter. I said, "Man, let's get out of here. Let's go somewhere. Let's go to Moab, Utah, and get on the river, just me and you." And she said, "Okay." And then she came back. She said, "Hey, I want to go, but can I take 6 of my friends with me?" So here I am. I rented a Suburban, right? And I look like Jeffrey Epstein rolling down the road with 6 19-year-old, 20-year-old women, girls. But man, it was a 24-hour drive. And the deal was to put them in the front seat and rotate them in. And then we got to Moab and we got on the river and we were off the grid and living on the river for a couple of days. And then we got to ride all the way back. And you got to sit and wait for your time to get a little coaching in. And so we were able to talk about emotional intelligence a good bit, and it was, the light bulbs were starting to flicker and come off. And what a great deal for 6 20-year-old college girls who are all over the place. And man, just when you think you didn't do them any good, I'll get a crazy text on something that they picked up. And bingo, right?
That's the magic right there, brother.
That's the magic, man. That's the magic. So you don't think they're listening. You try your best. It's great tools, and we'll see.
No, it's beautiful, dude. And what kudos to you, the dad, one that does the trip. Which I mean, we get that, but to even bring up those types of conversations, like you said, we didn't get that, man. We didn't get that. So kudos to you. So what would be maybe you found it in that Suburban there, but what would be that one little bit of advice that we might give? Because everybody's got their own little magic. But what would you say to a young person in their late teens, early 20s, that's trying to build a life that's healthy? I think that's key these days.
I try to keep it real simple, and for me, it's really becoming a master at smart questions. It's the old thing of you have two things in your hand, and one of them, they're both stopwatches, right? And so when you're talking, the stopwatch is on. When the person you're talking to, that stopwatch is on. And at the end of that conversation, it really should be about 80% them talking and 20% there. So, a lot of Carnegie and those kind of things in there, winning friends and influencing people and all that stuff. All those things are still almost 100 years old. And so how to ask these smart questions is such a skill. But I think the biggest go-to, and I get a lot of young folks through my little circle that we have these conversations. And, I'll tell this quick story and give you a little visionary, and I'm gonna kind of steal some of your stuff. So think of this white room, a big white room, okay, a big white living room. You with me? And there's white tables in a big U shape in the middle of the floor, right? And on the tables is a bunch of red Solo cups. You with me so far?
Yes, sir.
So also in the middle of the U table is two clear drums, okay, and it's kind of like a grain silo shaped, and it's on a stand, and underneath the grain silo, kind of like the top of an hourglass, kind of. Every day out of both these drums, okay. A valve opens up and it fills up almost perfectly a red Solo cup. But inside of these two is a purple and gold, like LSU pixie dust, right? Just
okay,
like
I'm with
pixie
you.
dust.
I got some mental pictures going on. I got it. Vision.
Right. And so I try to put these visions in these young people's heads. So now what's on the table and what's on the cups, So how many cups and what's on the side of the cups is up to you. And so the two pixie dust is all we have when it's all said and done. All we have is time and energy. That's all we have, bro, is time and energy. And time is very finite. So that cup of the gold dust, okay, I need 8 hours of sleep. You go to the red Solo cup that says sleep. I'm gonna put 8 hours worth of dust in there. Okay. Now what else I do? Oh, I need to work for 8 hours. Where am I putting this dust? And how much precious time, if we understand how precious those two things are, then, do you really want to pour some of this precious dust fooling with this negative person that's just a soul-sucking individual? Do I want to stay in this job that is draining my spirit every day? And I'm gonna put 8 or 10 hours of my precious dust that I can never get back. Once it gets in there, it's gone. Okay. And then the energy side is not finite. If I say, you know what, I had a tough week. I want to chill out on the couch and watch TV all day. I'm gonna put 7, 8 hours of my time dust in there and low energy. I'm gonna spray. You can leave over a lot of energy, and sometimes that's fine. All right. Do I want to put all of my energy over here in thinking, EQ here, and all of these negative things that are just wearing me out? And so my challenge to them is, if you look at your time and your energy as that precious, then you should be saying, hey, man, I really should only hang out with people that want the best for me and I want the best for them. You know, I should be popping out of bed in the morning and doing this and that, and just try to manage this time and manage this energy a little better. And so I try to give them some of that visual stuff, because think about this. How much of that pixie dust goes on here, bro? Chatting around, spreading crap that you don't need. I mean, how much is this burning of both of them, you know?
Absolutely. That phone, man, it's not just a phone anymore. It's just connected so many different ways.
And you never get it back. And
well,
you get my age, you start asking yourself, how many summers do you have left, bro?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I had a mentor of mine, Jim Rohn, right? He's passed on now, but that's how he said it. He said, you know, if we got 20 years to go fishing, he said, no, man, it's from a time perspective. It's no, you got 20 more times. You got to change your point of view. I love the message on both of them. They're asking questions. You know, I had another mentor. He said, you know, the one that asks the questions controls the conversation.
Yeah.
I thought I had to be talking to control the conversation, right? So a pearl there you're passing on, ask the right questions, and then, you know,
I call it smart questions. You know, smart questions when you're about to, if I know I'm fixing to have a conversation with you, or if I know I have a meeting with someone, or I'm fixing to have a board meeting, or I'm going to just meet a friend for dinner, you know, just 10 minutes of prepping in your brain. Hey, being self-aware, right? You know,
absolutely.
What is this person I'm going to see? Hey, are they in my circle? If so, I need to treat that accordingly. And so I have to be self-aware of what's going on in their life. And if I don't know, then my smart questions go to that. And they're gonna sort of gravitate and let you know where the pain is or whatever. And you know, I think of two uncles. I won't mention their names. But one uncle, he's passed on, but I left every conversation as a kid feeling so good about myself, bro. He made sure that he knew that I knew that he cared. And he did. And he remembered, because he was genuinely wanting a fan. You know, and didn't really need to be, other than being an uncle, just a cool uncle. I had a couple of those, but one comes to mind. And then I had another uncle who was always wanting to brag on himself and kind of bust your balls a little bit and sort of, just sort of demean you into sort of, you know, try to trap you into a question because he was older and a little wiser and smarter, and try to put you in some type of trap. And I always left those conversations thinking he was a jerk. And you know, again, lessons learned there, and what you want to become and not, and where do you want to put your pixie dust. I don't want to do that. I want to be more of my cool uncle's pixie dust, bro.
I love the pixie dust. Yes. I love the pixie dust, man. You know, what's the old scripture say? Quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. Now, you know, I got the little small print at the bottom says skills required. Skills required. You know what I'm saying? Skills required. All right, look, man, this has been an awesome exchange. You got a funny for me in all your travels, brother? Give me a quick funny, man. I know you got few.
Man, I thought about that. I know we had talked about that a little bit. I don't have a quick funny, but I will say this. A big component of EQ is just to not take life so serious and use humor to use be an easy target, bro. Be an easy target and laugh at yourself and laugh at some things. We're all human beings and sinners, and it's comical if you really look at it.
Right. No,
it's
a big, humor.
Yeah.
Humor's big business, and being able to laugh at yourself. Again, I think skills required. As we wrap this up, Bob, you talked about people we hang with, and if you look at the EQ stuff, there's a lot of stuff about self and self-knowledge, self-respect. Learning to hang out with yourself and talking to yourself with respect. You hear all this stuff about mental health, and it normally has a screwed up, twisted, negative spin to it. Well, there's a positive mental health. And you've said it on a number of times today. That's just taking some time throughout the day, man, getting, finding that happy place, but doing it with a bit of respect to yourself. That you would say that's important.
I would say that, when one of the deals we had talked about is your personal health, and everybody jumps to the diet, flavor of the day diet, and then what they're gonna, they flipping tractor tires and if you really tend to your mental health, and EQ does a lot of that, then some of the other things kind of fall in place and go away. I mean, if you don't have it right upstairs, then chances are high you might try to self-medicate with a little too much wine or alcohol or whatever, or you might eat out of anxiety, and then now you got a bad diet because that's another way to sort of treat this anxiety. But if you can keep it level and work the cylinders and do all that stuff, in my opinion, get that done first, and then the physical side of it and the eating and the diet comes much easier. But we don't tend to address that part. It's still a little bit taboo, and that's why I appreciate what you're doing. You're a public servant, man. Get it out there. Get this message out there. It's important conversation, and push it, Parrish. You're really good at it, and I appreciate you doing that.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. Again, it's nice. We've had those backroom kitchen conversations about trying to get people to see it. But it is, and you said it. It's when you can share with a suburban group of girls in the suburban, and the lights come on, and the texts come in later. Man, that's the fruit, right? So
it is.
Here's to both of us, brother. Look, we're going to need to do this again, right? Yeah. We're gonna close this out here. EQ4 Life, talking about emotions, talking about being smart about emotions. Do you have any closing words for us as we wrap it up?
No, sir. Other than, man, be good. Keep the message going. I love what you're doing here. And call me anytime, bro. We all about it.
All right, brother. Talk soon. God bless you, man.
Thank you for participating in this podcast event, EQ4 Life. EQ4 Life is a podcast based on your views as a parent, a companion, an entrepreneur, or business leader, and how learning to be smart about emotions plays out in everyday life. To learn more about the EQ4 Life podcast or Parrish, please contact us online at info@parrishowentaylor.com or call 866-487-2815. That's 866-487-2815.